Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. You might notice that I have gotten my hair cut, but it was just getting too much to the point of where I needed to cut it. And today I'm happy to say I have finally completed Final Fantasy VII Remake. And I'm here to tell you my thoughts about the game and why I would highly recommend it to most, if not all, fans of the Final Fantasy franchise and just people in general. Final Fantasy VII Remake is a game that's been announced and then talked about for a little bit, was shown off at, I believe, an E3 event for the sole purpose of, hey, we're going to be making Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PlayStation 3 as a launch title, which was not true. Instead, that footage was made specifically so Square Enix could show off what the brand new Crystal Tools engine could do for the PlayStation 3. And during that time period, they were working on Final Fantasy XIII, and they needed to put something out just to tell people that, yeah, we still do things. But yeah, it was rumors for a long time, like Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be a real thing, I promise you. I know Penguin Zero or Moist Critical made a good joke about it. Guys, check it out. Here's a bunch of old files and trailers and pictures from Final Fantasy VII Remake that was in a computer thrown out in a dumpster near Area 51. It's completely not true. The game did not come out. It was only a tech demo because it literally said it in the title of the trailer. So I don't really get what people were getting at. It was a tech demo. Instead, we got Final Fantasy 13, and you know what? I'm gonna go over that game for a different day. And then they showed off a couple more trailers of this, and they were like, okay, people actually like this game, so let's give them the game. They've been wanting it since 2006, so let's go ahead and make it. Now, one thing that I want to go over real quick, this is not a fully fledged remake. Like, this is not one-to-one original, but it just looks nicer and has a different gameplay style. If it was, then I'd be really bored with the game, because, like, even though I love the original 7, I don't want the exact pinpoint same game with no changes aside from graphics. If that's what I got, then I would probably have been disappointed. But this is just the Midgar section of the game. The Midgar section of the original game is only 5 to 6 hours long, so you could have gotten it done on your first playthrough. Well, I mean, obviously, but I finished Midgar in like the first couple of days that I got the game. But that's what this one's entirely based upon. And that's a good thing, because Midgar is freaking sweet. I love Midgar. And one thing that I think the remake does significantly better than the original 7 is how character development works for some of the more minor characters. Because if I wouldn't have played this game, then I would not have remembered anybody from the Sector 7 slums. I really wouldn't have. I completely forgot all of them. I couldn't remember a single one. And spoiler alert, real quick, for the original 7, almost everyone in Avalanche died, so yeah, that's a good way to start the game. Well, I mean, that's at the beginning of the game, so like you probably already saw it. So Final Fantasy VII Remake it's basically just the first section, but with a whole lot more character development and Sephiroth. That's really what it is. But one thing that I'm going to give this game a lot of credit for is how it takes the character development. Now, a lot of the more minor characters, like Jesse, Biggs, Wedge, Reno, Rude, and even kind of Rufus a little bit, they didn't have much to say, and when they went away / died, even though not all of them did, you just didn't care. Like, it's like a death in a movie that was just pointless, and they did it for the reason to do it. They had no character development. They gave me no reason to care about them. So that's why their deaths in the original game meant nothing to me. I'm like, okay, I guess they're dead. But I'm glad that they gave Wedge a bigger role, and same with Biggs, and same with Jesse. Jesse's a much more likable character. Jesse is a better character all around. Probably the best one in the game, if I'm gonna be honest. Like, she talks a lot. There's a lot of incentive to like her. She was one of my personal favorite characters, but my personal favorite character goes to either Cloud or Aerith, because, I mean, you get to play as them, so of course they're going to be important. But how does this game handle what the original did? Well, the original game, since I said the Midgar section was a very short part of the game, it handles it pretty well. Obviously, it's going to stretch it out. This game is like 40 hours long. I got it done in 35 because I'm good at games, I guess. But there were a lot more cutscenes, a lot more dialogue, a lot more fighting. And this is where probably my biggest complaint for Final Fantasy VII Remake comes into. It's not the cutscenes, it's not the dialogue. I actually have a friend whose father that really liked Final Fantasy just in general. He played 15 and disliked it because there was so much talking and very little combat, according to him. But I like 15, so. Final Fantasy VII Remake takes a much more action combat approach. It's more like the Kingdom Hearts series, or, like I just stated, Final Fantasy 15. And that is a good thing. I like action combat games. They're really fun. But this game, I feel that there's something about the action combat that there's just something I don't like about it. For starters, one, it's how the enemies work just in general. Now, what I mean is, let's see how I can phrase it. Yes. They take a while to kill. Like, a very long time sometimes. So if you're just starting to play this game, play it on easy mode, because things will die quicker, and good lord, some things just took so long to kill, and it was so annoying to deal with. Like, I can't tell you how terrible it was. It really was. Even the smallest of enemies took like minutes to destroy. And in the original game, they took only a couple of seconds. I kind of wish this game was turn-based, but that's fine. Turn-based combat, in my opinion, just like Moist Critical's opinion, is timeless. I played a lot of the Final Fantasy games, so I'm very much used to turn-based combat. It's just really good. Now, another mechanic that has been brought back is not only Materia, but the limit system. The limit system in the original 7 worked really basically. You take damage, limit gauge fills up, limit gauge after it fills up, you can do cool attack. In this game, it's pretty similar, but how it worked in the original game was if you got limit and just didn't use it in battle, then you would always have limit until you used it. Kind of veering off topic here, that's how Cloud's limit in Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS worked. And thank goodness that they fixed it in Ultimate, because it was super annoying to deal with. But in the remake, the limit only lasts in the battle that you're in. Let's just say you're fighting a really big opponent and your limit gauge gets filled up and you want to use the attack, but the enemy dies and you're like, okay, cool, I'll save it up for the next battle. Nope, it goes away, which is, in my opinion, really sucky. I did not like that. I did not like the fact that they just kind of abandoned that, but judging by how much damage the limits do now, I say that's a fair trade-off. Another thing is Materia and how it's different from how it worked in the original game. In the original game, Materia worked basically the same way, but in the remake, they they kind of made it a little bit better. It now tells you which materia combinations for connected materia work. In the original game, I don't believe they did, or maybe I was really dumb and just couldn't do it. Probably both of them. So in this game, it'll tell you like, hey, this materia combination works. Like if you want to put warding materia on fire, I mean, I don't know. I don't remember what the warding materia did, but oh yeah, elemental materia. Let's put elemental materia on fire. Have that connected. Give it to Barrett. Great. Now each one of his bullets deals fire damage instead of regular physical damage or lightning damage, just in case if you were to add different materia to it. There's a lot of there's also a new materia in the remake. It's called Deadly Dodge Materia. Very useful. Pick it up. It's great on Cloud. It's great on Tifa. I don't know about Barrett, though. Aerith's a bit of a different story. But now look. The thing about Materia that I have a love and hate relationship with in this game, in the original game, Materia took a very long time to level up. Like, it took a very long time to level up. And about that is they kind of rewarded you because of how long it took. They're like, okay, now that you have, let's say, fire materia, you maxed it out completely. The game's like, okay, you can have a second one for free. Like, here you go. But in the remake, they level up much quicker, but they don't give you another one. Which means that very scarce and rare materia, if you miss out on it, then too bad, too sad. And you can only equip it to one person at a time, because I think if everyone in the game had Magnify Materia, it'd be way too easy, and that's not what we're looking for here. But one thing that I really wanted to go over was, spoiler alert by the way, this game's ending. Now, this is an episodic game, because Episode 2 is coming out later in June, which I'm getting ready for. I think I'm just going to blow all my money on a PS5. Sorry, I just really wanted to play the Yuffie story. But, the ending of this game is, spoiler alert, like I just said, there will be spoilers in the next minutes. In the next couple of minutes, okay? So, don't get mad at me. It's not my fault. Even though it is, but don't judge me. How the ending is let's take the very end of the Midgar section from Final Fantasy VII and just, boop, there's Sephiroth right there. He just shows up. He's just here now. Final Fantasy VII Remake is just Midgar, but longer, but there's a lot more Sephiroth. Like, Sephiroth is everywhere in this game. I'm not even kidding. He's all over the place. And at the very end, he's just like, okay, cool. I'm here. Follow me into this void thing. But that's after the second motorcycle section. Yeah, there's two. There's two motorcycle sections. There's one at the beginning, and there's one at the very end. And the, I think, pretty difficult boss fight in the original game, that one is now on the motorbike section. You don't get off the motorbike to kill it anymore, which makes it a lot more tedious. I'm sorry, I didn't like that boss battle. I'm a little biased, but Sephiroth's just like, okay, cool, you guys did things, so follow me into this world. And this is another section of the game that I really dislike. Now let's see. How can I explain it? The world's ending, but it's not. The entire Midgar kind of crumbles a little bit, and pieces are scattered around everywhere, and I believe it is another form of Jenova that you have to battle, which I'm not going to really go over who Jenova is, because you've probably played the original FF7 if you're watching this video, and if you haven't, then why? But you fight it, in a weird way. You see, it spawns like these three little demons. One of them's red, one of them's blue, one of them's yellow. And they have so much health, and they're split up into multiple parts. It's the worst thing. The worst thing about the remake is this little section before the actual Sephiroth fight. It was awful. It was just so not fun. I had a terrible time. It was really tedious. It was boring. It took so long. But eventually, like, Sephiroth he's just everywhere and nowhere at the same time. He's just like, he's like a ghost. But you eventually climb up to the top of this area after you defeat the little Genovalings. That's totally not what they're called, but I'm going to call them that now. And after you've defeated them, which takes a very long time, as a matter of fact, Cloud's about to kill Sephiroth, and it's like, oh no, it was just an illusion, like, literally how he's been the entire time you've played this game. Like, it's not him. He's a ghost. And then at the very end, he finally shows up. And when you battle Sephiroth, this is, I believe, the first canonical time that Aerith has fought Sephiroth. I'm not going to tell you why, because it's sad. So, let's see. The Sephiroth boss fight took me 2 tries. One time because I didn't know what to expect, and the second time was when I knew what was going to happen. So, it was a very anticlimactic boss battle, let's just say that. I don't want to show any footage, though. I'm not good with editing, please. I'm not good at it. Don't ask me to do it. I might do it one day in the future. I don't know. I might get better at video recording and editing just in general. But yeah, it was pretty uneventful. I didn't really think the boss fight at the end was bad. Instead, I just think it was just pretty just anticlimactic. That's the word. The Airbuster boss fight from the beginning of the game was more difficult than the final boss of the game. Airbuster took me 8 times. I counted. It was terrible. But, you defeat Sephiroth before his theme even ends, so yeah, he's got a new rendition of One Winged Angel, which is probably my favorite one. It's called Rebirth. It's really, really good. And after you defeat Sephiroth, he just kind of goes. I don't know why he does that. He just leaves. And then we're suddenly out of Midgar, and then Zack shows up for some reason. And then Zack goes away. And then everyone walks away. And then the credits happen. I don't get it. Like, I played a grand majority of the original Final Fantasy VII, and I know about Zack, but, like, why did he show up now? That's not how it was. Zack was introduced much later into the story. Why is he in Midgar? Like, that doesn't make sense. But I'm not gonna go over it anymore. You've already been watching this video for around, like, 20 minutes, so I'm not gonna try and stretch it out any longer. Aside from a couple little hiccups, story misconceptions, and a pretty anticlimactic final boss battle, Final Fantasy VII is without a doubt one of the greatest PlayStation 4 games I own. I know I complained about the game a little bit, but my goodness, you really need to give this game a try. It's really fun to play, even though I just said earlier there was a boss fight I didn't like, but the combat's really fun and engaging, the music is amazing, the character development is awesome, it gives me a reason to care, which is always good. So, overall, I'd give Final Fantasy VII a 9.5 out of 10. Minusing 0.5 points because of the anticlimactic boss battles. Other than that, it's fine. This game, amazing. Would definitely buy again, because I probably will for the PS5 version. So, yep, that's my review. Wasn't the greatest thing in the world, but hey, I tried. Thanks for watching.